Hello, here we are again, and yeah, if you don't like me, don't look at me. Okay, I know I'm getting a little bit too often online, but circumstances dictate this modus operandi for me. Plus, the Christmas is coming, and I doubt that I will be doing much in terms of videos on Christmas. But I wanted to talk today because obviously circumstances are such that Russia issued an ultimatum, at least officially. We knew there was an ultimatum. And a friend of mine, a very good friend of mine, American former naval officer, and he sent me the New York Times article. I don't read New York Times really, and I'm not subscribed to it, but here it is. The article is called after Russia's foreign ministry issued basically what is ultimatum and proposed the draft of the new security arrangements between Russia and NATO. And New York Times came up with the article which is called Russia lays out demands for a sweeping new security deal with NATO. So, and it's basically about Russia's demand and what basically the Deputy Foreign Minister Rybkov already articulated on many occasions, including, issue of Baltic states. But here's what New York Times writes about some interesting thing. And this is about the opinion of Ukrainian side. Here it is. This is verbatim. Ukrainian officials have suggested that the US withdrawal from Afghanistan in August helped precipitate the crisis by signaling a waning American resolve for overseas commitments, which emboldened the Kremlin. The Biden administration has vowed to remain engaged in the international arena and said it intends to repair relationships strained under President Donald Trump. American officials have consistently said they are committed to supporting Ukrainian sovereignty. We need to really understand that there are very few smart people left in Ukrainian administration and actually in Ukraine as a whole. The best people already pretty much migrated outside somewhere, some in Russia, others to the West, and in this particular case, as usual, Ukrainians just fail miserably in describing the situation, and the problem here is not that they fail miserably. We know Ukraine as a state is a failed state. It has no real sovereignty. It has a really ugly political nation which came together. It is definitely there. Ukrainian political nation is definitely there, but the issue here that there are many people in the United States who not only are using Ukraine as the ram against Russia, and I will talk about bottom line, it's not just against Russia, but also who listen to those Ukrainian people. They listen to those Ukrainian officials who not only lie, they are not very smart, they cannot really assess the circumstances surrounding them, and that's the problem. Now, here's the main point. Okay, Russia didn't issue ultimatum today. Russia issued it a little bit, some time ago. But what many people do not understand, and that's the bottom line, apart from the beautifully formulated, reformulated of the Clausewitzian dictum that war is the continuation of the policy by other violent means, then Xiaoping's 180 degrees flip of this phrase, or this dictum, is that diplomacy is continuation of the war by peaceful means. And this is precisely what it is. And here's the main thing, here's the bottom line. Ultimatums are not issued by weak powers. Weak powers either submit or reject ultimatums. Ultimatums are always issued by really powerful states, if we're talking about in state to state or bloc against bloc relations. And obviously Ukrainian officials don't understand that the United States was on the decline since 2008, and at 2014 and 2015 in Syria, world was basically shown the limits of American power, and grossly inflated American power, and basically saw the mythology. Then, of course, and here I have a full agreement with my friend Andrei Rayevsky, you know him as the Sacred Dead. April 2020, I believe it's April, when Iran responded to the murder of its diplomat and important state figure, General Soleimani. United States were shown as absolutely weak militarily because they couldn't do anything about basically attack of the intermediate range ballistic missiles by Iran on its base in Iraq. I mean, it was just like that. And they were warned in advance to allow to basically avoid unnecessary casualties. And people were all pretty much in the hideouts and bunkers, and even that resulted in most likely hundreds of people who sustained a serious contusion. So there you go. So in this case, basically the run of the United States from Afghanistan is just another link in the chain of the events which denote a really failure of the United States as global power, or at least it pretended to be the global power, because actually wars are very specific things. And that's the whole thing about this. United States elites and what passes in the United States for diplomacy, there are no really good diplomats in the United States. There is no mechanism which really produces a competent and well-educated diplomats. Not since the times of James Baker and Ambassador Jack Matlock. They have no idea what real war is and how the military political balance is calculated. They don't teach it. What they teach, obviously, in all those humanities programs, and I am on the record with this, is basically some kind of pseudo-scientific trash. It's the same as judging economy by the Wall Street indices. It's pretty much that's what it is. Reality, of course, is such that there is no way NATO today or tomorrow will be able to do anything in the Eastern Europe without, if it decides to really go and fight Russia. Yeah, let's imagine that. Even in conventional way, NATO will be absolutely dismantled and will sustain catastrophic defeat with the scale of losses. They have no idea what the scale of losses will be. They will be colossal. Not to mention the fact that Russia, even conventionally, I'm not even talking about nuclear, I'm talking about conventional. Conventionally, Russia can rearrange stones in Brussels, Washington, D.C., or anywhere else if it comes down to it. So, and that's the thing. NATO nations, which are the core of the NATO, well, they're not really core, they are vassals and tabakis, of the United States. I'm talking about obviously Germany, France, and Great Britain. They are no contenders in any way militarily or even economically right now. And the bottom line here is not just Ukraine. Nobody cares about Ukraine or Ukrainians in Washington, D.C. If they will die all tomorrow, nobody will even, shrug or, cringe about it. It is all about preventing the inevitable Eurasian economic and political integration into gigantic bloc. And after the statement by Vladimir Putin and President Xi of China, that's what came next, the ultimatum. Now the Western media are screaming bloody hell and talk about, oh my God, they have a bloc, China and Russia. Yes, they do. Vladimir Putin actually is on record saying that the relations are a little bit more than just allied relations. And in this particular case, we need to understand that China and Russia are more than just a bloc. China, and we know there are issues with China, economic, and especially in terms of energy. China is not energy sufficient. For China, Russia is this saving grace, basically, not only friendly and good neighbor. It is definitely a supplier of energy, but most importantly, and that's where it is all coming to, and that's the bottom line, as I already told you many times, this has to be really taught in the whatever the programs they teach in whatever Georgetown or Ivy League, whatever the hell they teach, all kind of crap there about this. Geopolitics today is not about geography. Geography is the small part of it. It is also not just about economy, which is, of course, also a major part of it. It is about military power and how much you can defend yourself and project yourself militarily in where it really matters. United States and NATO, no matter how they arrange forces or alliances, they cannot take on China because immediately you will have Russia behind it. And evidently what is now transpiring, China confirmed its full support of Russia. And this is military support. So you understand that, and I am on the record. I wrote books about it. I write about it constantly. Militarily, technologically, Russia created a dramatic gap in weapon systems and networks which control them, and enablers. And this gap is not shrinking, actually. It is increasing. China knows this. And they rely on that. Because in the end, you will see, at some point of time, older versions of 3M22 zircons, S-500s and S-550s in China's arsenal. It goes without saying. Just to illustrate to you what is going on here is, it became also known recently that basically CR-929, Russian-Chinese wide-body aircraft, will be using only PD-35 engines by Russia. Some people say that's not that important. Actually, it is tremendously important. And I can sit here and list all those signs which show an incredible economic and military convergence of Russia and China, and that means inevitably, considering China's gigantic size of economy, obviously with its own problems, there are problems in Chinese economy. Make no mistake, I'm not trying to sit here in rose eyeglasses and say that everything is fine. No, it's not everything is fine in China. But in the end, China taps into Russia's enormous energy resources and enormous military power. And that means that inevitably Eurasian consolidation, creation of the common Eurasian market, which dwarfs anything Anglo-Saxon world ever dreamt about, will happen. And Europe, for Europe, it's the only way to save itself. If not, then Europe is becoming a United States lunch. And United States will make sure that it will have Europe, especially Germany's manufacturing, and France for lunch. After that, it will be US market. It will be basically a madhouse. It already is, let's face it. What Europe today, it's just absolutely, madhouse. It's sanitarium, it's asylum. And here's the issue of the Baltics. Ukraine is very clear. There's no NATO there. If there is NATO or any further increase of NATO presence there, Ukraine ceases to exist. And Russia has the historic and other means to pretty much explain why it will happen so. In terms of Baltics, nobody needs them. That's one of the things which people have to understand. There is a reason why they're called Vymirati in Russian, which is the Vymirates, which is basically dying out Emirates. And the only thing Russians want there is there will be no American or NATO hardware there, because those guys, in case of the real war, they will cease to exist as states in half an hour to hour, and nobody needs them. Nobody needs the freeloaders. And as I already stated, we need to go further, and I will be writing about it more, that for people who don't understand what is going on, if you get the guy from South Washington, D.C., and place him in the middle of Moscow right now, he will be overwhelmed. He will have the cognitive dissonance because Washington, D.C. or New York look like basically second-rate villages compared to what, say, Moscow or St. Petersburg are. They are basically a visual representation of growing Russian power and wealth. And it is not just wealth, it is military power. And if you look at that basically trend in Russia, you will see pretty much same happening with different degrees all over Russia. And we need to keep this in mind. And this will continue. And that is why West today, and especially its leader, the United States, are faced with choices. Obviously, Russians don't expect them to surrender everything, but the ultimatum is clear. You move further, it's over. And in this case, you know that Russian armed forces will have very little problem with dealing with Ukraine, but any serious NATO unit, or not unit really, but formation or whatever, you know what's going to happen. And here's the main issue now. Neither United States nor NATO have enough resources and military power to do anything about it without sustaining catastrophic defeat, which may lead in the end to the escalation, because to the nuclear threshold, because the United States is a nuclear-biased country precisely because of its, well, let's put it this way, conventionally, in terms of large theater operation, combined arms operations, United States will not be able to even accumulate enough forces to do this, let alone when Russia will decide not to allow to accumulate those forces. So if you think that the United States can really scare Russians with 1 or 2 brigades, I'm sorry guys, this is not serious. And there we go. Officially, there is an ultimatum presented by Russian Foreign Ministry, and you can read about that in press. It's all over the internet. There are also a lot of, obviously, as you might understand, butthurt and sour grapes, but it is what it is. Power decides everything in politics. No power, I'm sorry guys, this basically mythology of some crafty, artsy diplomats doing something, Metternich, all that. Come on, I mean, if you have somebody who comes to me and tries to really rob me with a knife, if I pull out my Mossberg 12 gauge, guess who's gonna win? So there you go. Simple as that. There's nothing really difficult in this fundamental truism, so to speak. As for how it is calculated and how the military power is represented in numbers, in figures, in whatever, you know my blog, you know my books. That's what I do. So here's my say for today about it. I don't know if I will continue to do much over the Christmas, obviously, and then New Year. But I would say, if I will not see you, unless something happens again, you know, and we live in crazy times, but I would see you probably after Christmas. But generally speaking, guys, I will write more about it on my blog, and if something pops up, yeah, you will see my ugly face again on the screen, and hopefully I fixed now the whatever mirror image or whatever. Here's my whatever, yeah, that's my left. Okay, that's my left, that's my right. Okay, so yeah, we should be fine. So as always, do not forget to support me on Patreon, who can afford that. Please subscribe to my channel, and if I will not get on before Christmas, so, you know, Merry Christmas to you all, and please stay safe, be healthy, and let there be peace. Believe me, I can tell you for sure, Russia is certainly, and China, working for peace, really. So, but we'll discuss it later and all those details of that. So, there you go, guys. Bye bye.